When I started paddling on a sea kayak, I set myself the goal of navigating the Danube River all the way to the Black Sea. It took me 3 years to go to the Black Sea. For the next few years, various seas around the world became my playground. After expeditions in temperate, tropical and subtropical climates, I began to dream of a trip to the far north. We got together from Latvia, Slovakia and Germany. We formed a team of 4 paddlers to make a dream come true. The first challenge was to drive to the Lofoten Islands, 2,400 kilometers from Germany, 1,000 more from Slovakia. We watched as the night became shorter. Rains increased and the landscape slowly changed to the tundra. We got out of the car for the first time for a long time on the ferry to the islands just a few kilometers before the finish. The wind started to blow and we felt what the Arctic climate was like. After 3 days of driving, we arrived at the starting point in Hanoi on the northeasternmost of the larger islands of Austvagoya. Approximately 200 kilometers north of the polar circle, we were ready to start our adventure to circumnavigate the Lofoten Islands. Our adventure moved to the waters of the North Atlantic Ocean. Adventure about dramatic mountains, open Arctic Ocean, sheltered bays, epic beaches and untouched lands. About wildlife discovery on sea kayaks. Let's see what our first 2 days of paddling on breathtaking Lofoten looked like. Everyone was looking forward to sleep. But after checking tidal tables, it was supposed to be another short night in the car. We had to start early in the morning to go with the flood tide through the fjord to the sea. So off we went with heavy kayaks packed to the maximum. However, against the tidal current, which ran in the desired direction only after a few hours. But with this impressive landscape, we didn't mind. After a few hours of paddling, we found a small beach for the only lunch break on this trip. Searching for a place to set up tents, we finally arrived in the evening, more than 50 kilometers paddled. At night, the rain started again and didn't stop for the next couple of days. The second day we paddled 15 kilometers in the unpleasant headwind. We chose a nice sandy beach to land on. The place seemed quite suitable for an overnight stay. Since everyone was tired after driving and a long paddling the day before, we decided to stay there. A good opportunity to test how cold a swim in the North Atlantic Ocean is. Strong headwind, heavy rain, big waves, and sea kayak rodeo are words that describe this pedal stretch the best. The Lofoten Islands and the North Atlantic Ocean show their bad faces and made this already epic adventure even more dramatic. The forecast predicted increasing headwinds up to the Beaufort 6. So we started at 7 AM to pedal a few kilometers with less wind. As the weather was turning to stormy conditions, we pedaled 21 kilometers to an island where we decided to stay. Exploring the island, we found some abandoned houses. One of them turned out to be a real blessing for the stormy and rainy night. On top of a little mountain there were lots of cloudberries and blueberries. Awesome. Every one of us was crawling in the soft ground picking the berries. Glad to wake up in our shelter, we moved on this morning, heading 30 kilometers south against the wind in Beaufort 4. Our faithful companion, the rain, was also awake in time. The first part we could pedal along some sheltered islands. The second part was more wavy. We had great fun on these reflecting shaky waves. Our destination was a comparatively big island. Late in the evening it finally stopped raining after 2 days. We were very lucky when we turned north. We had excellent weather conditions to pedal on the open North Atlantic Ocean under the strong Arctic sun, surrounded by epic mountains. It was beautiful to pedal along this rocky coast with these high steep mountains. There was not much more to be desired for our night camp, either a wild sandy beach between high rocks in complete solitude. Apparently, people have lived here a long time ago. At least we found these ruins of a house. How was life in those days? We started our trip to explore a cave which was close to the bay where we stayed. Going south, we passed some nice waterfalls and some other little caves which were inaccessible. As we had an easterly wind, we paddled in leeward, but at times the wind broke through the high mountains and it fell down as katabatic wind. We found shelter on a photogenic sandy beach, Kvalvika. Since the weather forecast predicted good wind conditions for next days, we decided to take the next day off and go for a hike. We just slowed down and enjoyed the moment in one of the most beautiful places on earth. This epic Arctic marathon continued with typical Norwegian good weather. It was cold, rainy, foggy and windy, but the ocean was nice. After recovery day off on fairy tale Kvalvika beach, I not only felt strong again, but I began to feel at home here. We pedaled to the cars for another 4 days. We started without any rush and were happy to pack only dry stuff. Along the coast we found some nice caves in which you could paddle inside. We needed to refill water, so we made a stop in the harbor of Ramberg. There was also a shop, what a great surprise. We couldn't find any place to camp all day. We were offered a beautiful light to our way out. After sunset, on the open ocean we finally found a place where we could pitch our tents in heavy rain. More than 50 kilometers paddled. We were lucky to start the morning without rain for 2 hours. It was a short paddling day, only 16 kilometers almost without wind. We stayed on an island where we found another ruin of an old house. It was very useful to attach the tarp to it. Last 2 days were already grey. We felt that the end of the expedition was approaching. Great feeling. Circumnavigation of the Lofoten Islands on the sea kayaks. Mission accomplished. What will be the next adventure? It's time to expand the expedition fleet with a sailboat to be able to explore most remote places on Earth.